All right. So here we are. We have a special guest today, everybody. Manik is going to teach us a lot of things today.
Hey
He's
everyone.
putting pressure on you, huh? He's he's an expert, or at the very least, well versed on TypeScript and Node.js. But before I speak for him, I'll let him introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his dev journey.
All
So
right.
yeah, Monique, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure, Francisco. So first things first, I've been following Francisco, since a long time, and he does, very well with his channel. I've been a big fan of his live streams, and it's a big honor to be here with you, and I truly mean that. So I've been a developer. It's been a long journey now. It's been 10 years, and I started as a PHP developer, WordPress, freelancing on Odesk when Upwork used to be Odesk, and they had not merged into one company. So I was there on Upwork as well as on Odesk as well as on Elance, and that's how I started my journey. Like simple PHP, and then slowly and steadily transited towards JavaScript. Then Node came up, and got into this full stack development ecosystem for Node.js, and it's primarily been JavaScript, TypeScript along with Node since last 6 years. And it's been a truly exciting journey. I'm really passionate about what I do, and that's I think that's the reason I've stuck for 10 years as a software developer. So uh, my passion really brings me, it keeps going me on, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So how was it starting for you? I know that excuse me. So one of the questions that, or a lot of the audience are thinking about becoming developers, and they either don't have the means to afford school, especially
Yeah.
here in the US,
Right.
or maybe they're just into responsibilities like having a family. Maybe they're in their 30s, and
Correct.
it's way more difficult to go to the university to get a career or get started as a developer. How was it
I
for you?
understand.
Did you go to school, or did you teach yourself how to code?
Yeah, I did go to school, but then, honestly speaking, uh, if you compare the education system to US, the universities here aren't pretty serious about what they're teaching. I would rather say the quality of education in every university isn't that good. Most of the things that I learned was through practice and hands-on experience on development. My life-changing moment, I was pretty interested to become a software developer. That's the first thing. So I always loved being on computers, fidgeting around with different kind of software people have developed, and it always excited me to see that I can also develop something. But my journey actually started by watching CS50, the free and open source course by Harvard University. So if anyone asks me, if I really want to understand what computing is all about, and I really want to start my development journey, first of all, there's no age barrier as such. And CS50 is what I recommend to everyone, because that really teaches you what computing is all about. And it starts from binary going up to different kinds of algorithms, and you understanding simple algorithms like bubble sort, merge sort. And it really puts you in that zone where you can start thinking as a software developer. And then picking up a programming language isn't difficult, because you get that direction from CS50, and that takes you, it really did help me a lot. So I do recommend everyone to take that course before you even say software development.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I oh, someone says that it's echoing. Hang on. Shouldn't be, but let me turn this down just in case. Okay. Okay, that should be better. It should be better. No echo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Just to kind of, make a comment on that, I do agree with you. CS50
Yeah,
is sort of the equivalent, what I consider, right, the fundamentals of programming, right? It's people, a lot of new developers, self-taught developers, sort of skip that, and they go from like, oh wow, that's a cool setup. Oh, being a programmer is cool. Okay, I'm
yeah,
gonna pick a language and then learn the language, but if you don't
yeah.
have the concepts behind, you know programming,
Right,
is difficult to go straight to a language. And then you probably
right.
get this same thing as well, right? It's like, what's the best language? It's like, because I
Yeah,
want to learn the best, right? If I'm going to learn, I
yeah,
want to learn the best. Right? And
yeah,
sometimes it's like, well, there's the best for, different scenarios. And then right away,
yes,
when I get that question, right, it's like, that sort of makes me understand, okay, this person is starting out, because that's one of
yeah,
the, first things, sort of, that you learn once you start getting into the basic, you know basics about programming. Well, that's
yeah,
that's great. So you've had a long career and lots of experience.
yeah,
So um I guess the other question I have, is, why did you become a content creator? And I guess, a question that goes along with that is, how difficult was it? Because
yeah.
programmers, we tend to be, introverts and shy, and it's difficult. For me, it
Yeah.
was really difficult to get in front of the camera
Oh, same
and
here.
be able to. And
Yeah,
what pushed you to do it?
so just to pick up on the previous question of yours, like even I get asked a lot of times, like, which is the best programming language. Today, someone asked me on YouTube, like, I want to get into Google, so which programming language should I learn? And I at times I don't really understand how to answer that question, because it's really not about the programming language. The language is just a syntax, right?
Hmm.
So what you need to focus on is the problem solving skills. And that's where I always tell people, like, so they would come up and ask me, see, I'm a front end developer, I don't need to learn data structures and algorithms. And I don't know where that statement comes from, because as long as you're calling yourself as a programmer, you're definitely dealing with data, and efficient algorithms is all you need, right?
Yeah.
So, and coming to content creation, so for me it started as a vent out of my energy to interact with people. So I'm pretty social that ways, considering the standards of a software developer, but I'm a very camera shy person. uh, so if someone would be clicking a picture for Instagram, or my family and friends would be telling me to get into the picture, I would just don't know how to carry my body language. And becoming a content creator was a fast distant approach for me. So I started with posting on Instagram, and that's where I connected with a lot of people, and they started liking my content. And I started creating my own characters, memes, and whatever I used to face daily as a programmer, that's what I used to post. So whether that was a funny moment, or a real pull your hair moment, when those bugs are not getting solved, or you don't know how to solve a particular problem, that's what I started posting, and people started connecting with that. That's how my journey started. And then I I'm as I said, I'm really passionate about software development. So I really love talking about my daily experiences, or software development in general. So that's how I started putting up certain tutorials, the concepts which were not clear to me when I understood them. I quickly made a video out of it, or wrote a blog post. uh, and what really pushed me was, like, I just submitted a few articles on Hacker Noon, and like 7 or 8 of them, and one of them got featured on the Hacker Noon main page, and they congratulated me for that. It was on JavaScript. And that particular year I was contributing to Hacker Noon a lot, and I won an award as well for the best development web development article contributor. And that really gave me confidence that, yeah, there is something within me which I can put out and help people a lot.
That's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
I sort of relate to that. So my journey was, similar. Some people
Uh-huh.
on Instagram are saying that we are echoing. Is it still echoing, guys? I think it might be me.
Is it?
Yeah, well, they're not saying it anymore. Yeah, maybe it stopped.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, saying that it's good now. Okay, perfect.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, so for me, since we didn't get but 5 minutes to talk before we came on the live stream, guys. So I'm gonna try to get to know Monique as much as I can. So in and just and also share about myself. For me,
Yes.
it was the same. So for me, um, I would say 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be busy programming. I had a full-time job, and then I was doing, extra projects on my free time. And I used to go to
Correct.
Starbucks a lot. So I would have my laptop, and then I would take a picture and put it on Instagram, right? It's like the everybody puts a picture of their laptop, right? On Instagram.
Yeah. Right.
So then I started doing that, but then after a while, it's like, and this was on my personal account. This is before the Dev Live even existed. So I was like, well, I mean, how many different pictures of my laptop am I going to take, right? So I said, you know
Yeah.
what I'm gonna start doing is I'm going to start sharing people's setups. And when the Dev
Uh-huh.
Live started, it was that, right?
Yeah.
Like the depiction of
Okay.
people going to their workplace or their setup and then
Right.
workstation, whatever, and creating stuff by coding. And that's kind of like how it started. I
Uh-huh.
just started, reposting people's um, Instagram posts. And
Setups.
this was, yeah, so this was strictly just on Instagram. Then
Okay.
after a while, this was, I would say, like 2.5 years ago or so when the Dev Life started. Well, it might be
Mm-hmm.
longer than that now, but anyway, it feels like 2.5 years. So let's go with two and a
Uh-huh.
half years. And then it evolved to where it's like, hey, people are liking this, and people are asking questions about how to start programming. It's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then people want to know how my journey was. And then I started this series, and that was the first thing I did on YouTube, right? Where I started collaborating with creators like yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I asked them, like, hey, why don't you share your dev journey and like a
Yeah.
2-3 minute video.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, I asked 5 questions, and then they would send me a recording of them answering the
Okay.
question. And then I would get the raw
Nice.
footage, I would edit it, and I would put it on the YouTube channel. And obviously I would, promote their profile, or even if they had a YouTube channel, I put links to, all of that.
Uh-huh.
And then
Yeah.
it was to where, like, well, it's great, but I'm still not sharing my idea. And that's kind of where I
Yeah.
started toying with, like, okay, maybe I should start making videos. And then I started with my iPhone, and it was so awkward, talking to the camera. And right now, I've been doing it this whole time, but at the beginning it was like,
Yeah.
oh wow, it's so weird talking to the camera.
Yeah.
And then
I know.
I started creating, YouTube videos, and then, some of
Mm-hmm.
them started taking off. And then I was always sort of nervous about going live, right? Because when you're going live,
Yeah.
is what if I say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing? And
Yeah.
then, it's always
Yeah.
how what could happen, right? So, but then once I started going live on Instagram, I liked it. And
Uh-huh.
then I guess because it's interactive, right? Getting
Yeah.
questions, I give the answers. Yeah, and then,
Correct.
from those live streams, that's how I create my reels, right? So I record the live
Yeah.
streams, and then edit them and create reels. Those are the reels that you see on my account.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much my story.
We,
So here we are in 2022. I want to say that the YouTube channel is having success.
yeah.
I'm creating, working on more videos.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, is that how
Good
it
to know.
happened to you as well for on YouTube?
Oh yeah.
Because
So
you
I
have,
think we both. Oh,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that because on YouTube, I see your videos and your thumbnails. I don't know if you pay someone to do the design, but if you do it on your own, wow, that's great because I am not a designer at all. And the stuff that you have is really good.
Yeah. So, you and me are pretty common when it comes to Starbucks, because I've spent a lot of time on Starbucks, and people used to say it's my second home. And, so my wife used to tell me, why do you come home? You should stay at Starbucks only. So it was, so it was that bad at times. And yeah, so I'm a pour over with the medium roast person, so that's how I like my coffee. uh,
Nice.
so yeah. And about the design, I really started when I started programming. Being very creative, and during my education as well, I got an opportunity to work for the printing company. That's how I used to make some side buck, and make my pocket money as a student. And in that printing company, they used to work on Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, and that was my first hands-on experience with designing. I didn't do the illustration that's there on YouTube. I hired someone to illustrate my face, but then the rest of the design and even the layouts, and I do that myself. So I'm proficient with Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, and for web UI designs, I do design very less right now. Like most of the times, I'm developing only. But whenever I do it for myself, I use Adobe XD or Sketch. So that's my go-to programs. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So, so you think, do you think, because a lot of developers, there are a lot of full stack developers, right? But usually, I
Yeah.
think because I even consider myself a full stack developer, but if you ask me if I am stronger on the front end or the back end, I would say the back end.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
on the front end, I can follow a design. Like if a designer gives me a design, I could make it look like, like the design looks, but
Yeah.
me coming up with the UI, it's not gonna happen. And I thought years
So
back, I thought I could do it, but now it's like
mhm.
every time, like for example, like I don't know if you noticed the other day I put a story on Instagram asking if somebody could help me build a landing page because I want to start a
Yeah,
newsletter, and it's like I don't
I
even
saw
know where
that.
to start. I don't even know like where do I start. I mean, my option would be to, okay, hire a designer to design a landing page, which is not that
Yeah,
difficult to do, or
correct.
um, get a template and just fill in the blanks, right? And
Yeah.
but I'd rather give the opportunity to someone from the community, right? So if
Mhm. Yeah.
someone's able to earn a little bit of money, that's
Yeah.
that's great. um,
Yes, correct.
yeah,
So
so
for me,
that's
I did design. So I was never a Photoshop guy. I never did. Don't even remember doing UI design in Photoshop. But in last 4 5 years, I've been doing certain UI designs. I did a so I collaborated with Material UI guys as well, and I did uh, a UI design for them, and we made an open source theme for Material UI. That was for React. And I'm mostly work like I do work full stack, but I do enjoy working on the front end as well, because those JavaScript animations, spending time on that. So you evolve as a developer, but I really don't like doing UI design much. I would rather pick up someone who's been doing it for a long time. And because once you keep doing it, you are more aware of the kind of widgets that are in trend, and you're able to do it quite quickly. I've been developing most of the times, so I don't really do UI design, but I am proficient with those shortcuts. And if you see me designing, you would not feel that a designer is that he's not a designer, because I use my keyboard shortcuts in Illustrator and even in Sketch. So yeah.
That's great. That's great. But if but it's not, is it something that you like doing? You prefer to be coding other
Yes,
than instead of
I
designing,
just
right?
love. Yeah, I just love being on the code editor with good music playing, and
Hmm.
that's how the entire day passes away.
Yeah, yeah. There's a question in on Instagram asking if
Mhm.
any of us worked in big data. I have not. I'm
Or
not
even
very
I
familiar
haven't.
with that.
No, even I haven't.
Yeah, and I think that's the only question so far. I think I'm gonna have to scroll all the way to the top to make sure that, yeah, not a lot of questions. And there is someone in the chat. Julian Velez is asking, "Where am I from, or where are we from?"
Yeah.
Um, we are, well, I am in California. I was born in Mexico, and I came here in 1992, and I've been here since then.
Mhm.
Manik, I'll let you answer.
Yeah. So I'm from India, and I'm in New Delhi right now.
And
This
you
is where I've
mentioned
been
that
born and brought up. Yeah.
you mentioned that you're coming to Canada soon.
Yes. So yeah. So I did give my biometrics for the immigration, and another month or so I'll be there in Vancouver, British Columbia, in Canada.
Nice, nice. Are you do you
Yeah.
have a job lined up?
Yeah. So I have some opportunities in place, and then I've been thinking of starting up a boutique software development agency as well. So let's see, how things go. I do have my existing clients, and the only thing that worries me about having a full-time working on an agency is uh, you spend most of your time marketing, and more you are there in a managerial role, you're pushed away from technology, and
Mhm.
uh, and I'm still in that zone of having control on checking what's happening, looking at each and every commit, whether the code is in sync with the standard or not. So if you take up those managerial roles, then this is what you're not able to do, and that's what has kept me in a position of confusion, whether I would like to continue with a job and then be a content creator on weekends, or I would like to set up an agency and take up some big projects.
Okay, so related to that, a question just came up. How can one rely completely on freelancing? Um, well, I'll give you my stab at it. Kind of like what Manik just said, right? It starts. You have to wear a different hat, right? Where if you start freelancing and you do it, to be able to rely just completely on freelancing, you have to do it somewhat at scale, right? Because so one
Yeah.
of the I used to do freelancing in the past, and one of the challenges that I had is that you are working on a project, meaning you're implementing, the delivering the contract, right? So you're writing code, you're implementing the features that were in the scope, and as the
Hmm.
contract or job project comes to close to an end, you have to start looking for the next project. You have to have the next
Right.
project already lined up. So that takes you
Correct.
away from being able to code to start marketing or selling the next projects
Right.
that are coming up, right?
Yeah.
And if you are good at selling, then you're going to have a lot of projects lined up, and then it gives you another problem, which is a good problem to have, but now you have to get more
Yeah.
people more developers to help you deliver
Right.
those projects on time. So then little by
Right.
little you're kind of being pulled away from your desk and onto doing other things, right? Or maybe not from your
Right.
desk, but
Right.
away from your from coding to wear those hats of marketing and sales
Yes.
and
Yes.
project manager, making sure everything gets done on time and within budget
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
So it's a
Right.
different world. And so then Manik, you said that you already have clients here in America or in other
Yeah.
places as well.
So my full-time employer is in America only. So I've been working with him since last 3 years, and it's a big software that I maintain for him. And we do have two or three more developers who help me out. And if we need more, we hire people on Upwork, and for some time, we just outsource some of the modules. And then it really depends on what kinds of features that the software needs. And it's basically a lead exchange. And companies pay per lead on that exchange, so it's a ping post system. It's been in operation since last 5 years, and I've been taking care of it since last 2.5 to 3 years. So it's been
Oh,
it's
okay.
been a good journey. Yeah. And apart from that, if someone comes up with a reference, or wants me to do some sort of a consulting or a small gig, I do take it up for weekends, but mostly it's my job that I focus on, because I already have a lot of work with my employer, and he doesn't have a problem whether I'm in India or in Canada. So it's just
That's
for
awesome.
yeah, so it's better opportunity that I'm looking for, like better standard of living, and a good future that I'm looking forward to in a developed nation as compared to India. And just a good air to breathe, and all those things, they keep me um I'm I'm happy as a person, when the environment is good, the air is not polluted, clean drinking water. So these things, my environment really matters to me. So that's the reason I'm looking out to move to Canada.
That's good. That's good. So then, when you come to Canada, you'll still be working full time for your current employer, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
on your free time you will start do taking on freelance work.
Yeah. So again, as you pointed out, I already have been in a situation, where you market a lot, then you end up with projects, and then getting that work done from someone else and on a multiple project is a different ball game altogether than working on a project with a few developers. So here with my employer, we are focused on a few projects, and we know the scope of the project. And even if one developer is not there, a new one comes up, we have proper documentation in place. But when you're selling to someone who is a non-technical person, and who doesn't understand technology, it becomes very difficult. They don't understand the importance of good code. They would not understand
Hmm.
the importance of documentation. And it's very difficult to explain people why something would take 6 months to build, and when there is another non-professional person, a freelancer, who's just new, who's just come out of the college, doesn't understand software development in depth, and he's saying that this can be done on WordPress in 1.5 months. So that's where the challenge comes up. And yeah, it's very difficult to get that work, quality work done on multiple projects as an agency. Then you need to have proper processes in place. How is it at your workplace? Like, you work on a particular project, or it's multiple
Yeah. So
projects?
that yeah. So I'll tell you about my current job first. So where I work now is it's a startup, and they own the product, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
then, well, obviously we maintain it, we add new features,
Hmm.
and so then the chemistry there is good because the team is there, we're all working for the same goal, right? My
Right.
previous job was different. I was working
Hmm.
for an agency who was doing work for a
Yeah.
big company here in the US, a
Uh-huh.
really big medical transport, like an ambulance company here in the US. And
Okay.
the chemistry there was different, right? The product owner, or the project owner was not part of the agency that I worked for. So
Yeah.
he worked for for the client, and kind of in developing the
Hmm.
roadmap of what features needed to be built and timelines. And this person was in charge of going and selling features, and products,
Yeah.
getting contracts, and then we had to develop and deliver. But
Yeah.
there was always sort of like that that divider, right? There's a divider where it's like, hey, my employer is looking out, for their best interests, right, to make sure that they
Right.
complete projects within budget. And then on the
Yeah.
other side of the fence, you have the project owner. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a different ball game, like you say, when you
Oh
have
yes.
that. And then after a while, I decided, I think it's better if I work, for a company that it's product based and they have their own services,
Right.
products, and
Yeah.
instead of working for an agency. There are agencies that are great, and this
Yes.
one that I worked with wasn't bad, but I think I was done with like one. I was a software manager, and I had been away
Yeah.
from coding for a while, and I was focusing
Mm-hmm.
more, or half of it was the politics side of things, right? Trying to make sure
Yes.
that everybody was happy and things were moving
Be
along. Um,
correct.
and then it's like, I miss coding, so I said, well, I'll just go to start looking and just go to coding. So now I work,
Yeah.
full time as a senior engineer. Um,
Yeah.
I do work on the front end, back end, and
It's good.
I just put in my hours and then I, log off. So that's a
Yeah. Yeah.
change.
Yeah. No, I completely understand that because, with these agencies, see, if you got to make a good agency, you need to first think as a software developer because if you haven't been developing yourself, you will never be able to understand what the person on, the system who's coding for you is going through. Because, and I've seen projects collapse because of strategy not being in place, and people having those waterfall models saying that, okay, these are the features that we're going to develop for you, and then without any estimation they would just say, okay, it's going to take 6 months and this much amount of money. And then when targets are not met because they were not first of all analyzed properly, and while you're developing, the client comes up with newer features. He understands the software and he understands, okay, what his customer would require. And that's where things really go wrong with agencies. So I completely agree with you. I have been in that position before, and even I am on the product side right now. So this is a product that we are maintaining, and it's a common goal. And my employer and even my so I'm the senior developer there. And there's another technical guy who takes care of all the servers, and he takes care of the deployments and all the DevOps stuff. He's also very experienced. And so we have a technical team who can talk technology and people understand. When you have non-technical people you're talking to, it becomes a one hell of a task and becomes very difficult to survive there.
Yeah. They only understand delivery dates and bottom line, right?
Yeah,
Amount of
yeah,
money,
yeah.
delivery date. They don't really
Yeah,
care about the what everything else that goes on. Yeah,
yeah,
I
right.
know how that is. Um,
Yeah,
so kind of going back to your you as a content creator, right? I think your channel is great. I think I watched a couple of your videos. um, I was actually listening to the one about the top 5 languages of 2022 on the way on a drive here. I was picking up my
yeah,
son from work, and I thought it was
yeah.
great. So, are you planning on maybe eventually creating like paid courses? Is that something that you might like to pursue soon,
Yeah, oh,
or
I would
or you
love to
just
be in that position.
okay? So kind
Yeah,
of, yeah, because I think like I said, I can't say it enough. Like there are certain content creators that I think that have either a team with them or skills that I don't have, and I really admire. So for example, Coder, I don't know if you know who she is.
hmm,
Her videos are really nicely animated. I think
okay,
yours as well. Like for example, the one with for the top 5 languages for 2022. And whoever's watching this, you guys should go check it out. It's an excellent video. You'll be surprised what the top the top language is. because I was. And
Yeah.
um, so yeah, so that's kind of what I'm asking, right? It's like we're very similar into at least for the reason of why we're doing this. Right,
Yeah.
the
Right.
reason why I'm doing this is because it took me 13 years, maybe a little
Yeah.
longer than that, to
Yeah.
for the day for me to where I could say, okay, I started learning how to code in 1999, and in 2015, I finally got my first full-time job as a developer. Obviously, that's crazy, right? I wouldn't recommend
Oh.
that. I have special circumstances, and then
Okay.
part of it was because I didn't feel confident enough that I could do it. I think that if I would have tried sooner, I probably could have done it. Um,
Uh-huh.
but anyway, so that's kind of like the reason why I like to create content, because becoming a developer or getting your first job as a developer shouldn't take years. I think if you really put your
Yeah.
heart into it, 6 months to a year, and you could get an entry level
Oh yes.
position,
Yeah.
as a developer. So that's kind of
Hmm.
the reason why I'm here. And if I'm able to create courses, and obviously, right, people always say like, oh, okay, so here we go, another content creator that wants us to give him money. It's like, well,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And at the beginning I felt bad, right? Because, well, why am I gonna ask them to give me money? But the thing is that I'm going to spend a lot of time creating, like
Yeah.
I do now, creating the content that I create, hours and hours.
Right.
And Manik, you can attest to that, how long it takes to create a video, how long it takes
Oh
to create a
yes.
reel. And
Yeah.
at some point, I don't think we can just keep doing this, for free for the rest of, our lives, because
Yeah.
we could be doing other things that could be generating revenue, right,
Right.
to better our lives. So I mean,
Correct.
I don't feel bad of saying it now. I used to, but it's like if I create a course and I ask for
Yeah.
X amount of money, X amount of dollars, I am going to make
Right.
sure that what I'm giving you is worth at least that
Yes.
or more, right? So
Right.
if I go back, however many years, let's say to 2002, and there was a way that I could learn quicker, I would
Yeah.
pay, right? I would pay. It's
Yeah.
like, hey,
Definitely. Yeah.
so yeah, so that's kind of, I don't know if you feel the same, where it's like, oh, I don't want to charge, because that's not, that's not okay. And I fought with that for a long time. But so I guess the reason I'm saying is that if I'm going to put something now that I'm going to ask, for support,
Yeah.
it better be good. And I think it
Yes.
will be good. So I'm working on my first course. um,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, so like I got the curriculum written. The only thing holding me back right now is that I'm in the process of buying a house. And I
Oh,
don't know if you
okay.
know, but in California, or pretty much everywhere in the US, the housing market it's crazy. So for the last
Okay.
4 weeks or so, we've been, going out and looking at houses, trying to find the right one that's
Hmm.
within our budget, right? So
Yeah.
once I get past that, once I get into the, the new house, then I'll begin recording this
Yeah.
course. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. And I really, I mean, I'm not, obviously, yes, I do would like to get rewarded for, the amount of effort that I put in. But it's a
Yeah.
bigger reward if somebody ever said like, hey, because of the course that you made, I was
Yes.
able to get a job, or I was able to, understand things that I couldn't understand before. That's kind of
Right.
what that's a bigger reward than uh,
Yeah.
than money for me. Unfortunately, I can't
Agreed.
keep doing this for free, right? So
No, I
yeah,
think we think alike. For me as well, a course is only worth it if someone is able to take it up and then they're able to end up in a job, or you're able to contribute to someone's life. You're definitely taking in money for it because you have to survive at the end of the day. As you said, we can't do keep doing this for free. And talking about the animation, so I did with videos related to software development, it becomes very difficult to explain the animator what you're actually trying to say, because they don't understand the technicalities of a programming
Mm.
language, or when you're using certain terminology which they do not understand because they don't come from a programming background. And that's where I feel I tried outsourcing a lot of my animation videos earlier. They didn't come out pretty well. That was because they did not understand. Some of the freelancers gave up, and then I ended up on DaVinci Resolve and trying to do the best animation that I can. I think there is a lot of scope of improvement there as well. And one video, if you have to edit it properly and animate it, storyline it, it takes around, I think, 24 to 30 hours of time of from the time you start scripting it to the time you deliver it on YouTube, and that's a lot of investment of
Yep.
time. And
Yep.
even the course curriculums, like you've decided a curriculum, and you've basically fixed upon, like, okay, this is what I want to teach. That's a big achievement for you, I must say. And because there are so many technologies, so much to teach. Like, it's very difficult to laser sharp your focus on one particular aspect of the entire programming journey that you want to teach to your students. So I'm pretty curious to know, what have you decided on, and what is your course about?
Yeah, so my first, and because I always talk about on my live streams and on my videos, right? It's like, and I even mentioned it earlier in the live stream, the fundamentals of programming. That's pretty much what
Yeah.
I'm at the first course that I want to create. And
Mhm.
sort of, I just want people to understand is that this is more important than the language. The language
Right.
doesn't really matter, right? So the fundamentals is, I guess, the foundation, right? That's why they're called the
Yeah.
fundamentals,
Right.
right? So they're the
Yeah.
foundation where you put any type of language that you want to use for whatever type of thing that you want to do. It's kind of sort of like the trunk of a tree, right? So you need to
Right.
have that in place, and then you can
Yes.
branch out and do whatever else you want to do. But if you don't
Absolutely.
have the knowledge,
Yeah.
under your belt, you are going to
Mm.
struggle for so long, and then you're going to realize, oh, I should go back and learn the fundamentals, because
Right.
that's going to make it easier. Because that happened
Yes.
to me, right? When I
Yeah.
started learning how to code, I'm going to age myself here. In 1999, I had a computer and I was doing quick basic. And
Uh-huh.
my first experience was like, okay, I'm writing HTML, and then I pull it up on Internet Explorer and it looks like a page, and I can change the color and the font. Like, okay, so
Yeah.
that's pretty much how I just started.
Yeah.
Um, and then after that, I started doing quick basic, and then I didn't know anything about programming. I just like, okay, well, if I start writing lines of code, and then I can
Uh-huh.
have it do, different things. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, it was yeah, it was quite a journey, but it took way too long. If I would have understood that the fundamentals of programming were important, then
Yeah.
it would have expedited. Later, about a year or two after that, I went to junior college, and I took an
Uh-huh.
introduction to programming, and that kind of
Uh-huh.
just changed everything. Like, okay,
Yes.
so that's what I was missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's correct. My journey has been pretty similar, but as I told you, so I took up that job, and I didn't hunt for a job once I was through my college. I thought I'll manage, without taking a job, and I was pretty energetic at that time. I just wanted to go out and make some money. So I started with two people, and I would get the projects for them. And for pretty 5 6 years, I did this, getting the projects. But it was very difficult. I reached a stage where we were like 50 people working together on the projects with 30 simultaneous projects running. And at that stage, I just gave up. I just couldn't take it up, because there are human resource issues that you're dealing with. You're not properly funded, and then Upwork and Elance merged together into one company with a different vision altogether. So earlier, Elance was focused on agencies, Odesk was focused on agencies, and then later Odesk and Elance merged into Upwork, which was focused on an entirely different model, which was freelancers. And most of my clients were there in UK. I had a company set up there, I had a business partner there. So good 5-6 years I did that, but that made me realize that I'm not meant, like I just don't like to be in that managerial zone for a very long time. I just love technology, and since then I've been programming, and I've been working as a senior engineer.
That's awesome. Manik, I'm gonna have to cut it short. Something just came
Okay.
up.
All right.
But I still want us to have a live stream, so maybe we can
Right.
schedule that, get it in the book, so you can talk about
For sure.
TypeScript and Node.js. So maybe
Sure.
if you want, maybe the next one you can host it on your YouTube channel, and then I can
Sure.
post it on Instagram, and then we can have people from Instagram come join us on YouTube, on your
Oh, that would
channel.
be great. For
Yeah, so
sure.
let's
We can
plan
do
on
that.
that. But just to kind
Yeah.
of close out, the uh, final remark. What would you recommend to a new developer that's starting out, that if you could only give them one tip, one advice, what would it be for someone who's starting out?
Yeah. So I would say go there, as you said, learn the fundamentals, understand what computer is all about, what binary is, how your programming language is working, what is a compiler, understand the basics of it, the very basics of it, how electricity gets converted into something which is intelligent, or how your processor is working. So those fundamentals would make you a good developer. Rest, programming language, I think, as we progress as a programmer, as we start creating things, we tend to get oriented towards one aspect or one particular technology, and that eventually comes up. But what you really need to get is the fundamentals of programming right, and that's where you start. And I think your course itself is going to help a lot of people, and that's a brilliant idea to come up with a course like that one.
Awesome. All right. Well, Manik, again, thank you very much. And thanks everybody who
Thanks,
joined us
Francisco.
on Instagram and on YouTube. And we're going to have Manik again so we could actually get to talk about TypeScript and Node.js. All right. Well,
All right.
have a good
Yeah.
rest of your weekend. I still have, you know, quite left of my Saturday. Your Saturday is probably ending now, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah. All
So
right.
see
Well,
you soon.
have a good one, and thanks very much for the
Yeah.
collaboration and
Yeah.
support.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Francisco. Thanks. All right. Bye bye.